Hi, friends. Yesterday we read about Ralph's new adventure that he's going to go on, and today's chapter is called The Search. Do you remember what Ralph is going to look for? You're right, he's going to look for an aspirin for Keith. Why does Keith need an aspirin? What does he have? He has a fever, and they don't have any medication for him. Let's read together and see what happens. Chapter 11, The Search. I have to go out into the hotel, Ralph informed his relatives. I've got to help the boy. Oh, no, not out into the hotel, cried Ralph's mother. Not while the housekeeper is looking for mice. If you're seen, we'll be in danger. I'll be back before dawn, said Ralph. I must go. Don't try to stop me. Look at them. Oh no, I think that's Mother and that's Ralph. And he's like, don't try to stop me. See here, my boy, aren't you being a bit dramatic? Asked Uncle Lester. Whatever do you have to go out into the hotel for? To pilfer a pill. Pilfer a pill. Pilfer means to find something. Look for something until you find it. I've got to go find a pill, said Ralph. An aspirin tablet. His answer was dramatic enough even for Uncle Lester. His entire family stared at him in disbelief. Not an aspirin! Not after his own father had been poisoned by one of the dread tablets. So do you remember his father had an aspirin and he had it in his jaw? An aspirin? Ralph's mother gasped. No, Ralph, not that. Anything but that. It is the only way. Ralph stood tall and brave. The boy has a fever and he needs an aspirin. I'm going to find him one. Oh, Ralph! His mother hid her face in her paws. So why is Mom so scared? Why doesn't she want Ralph to go look for an aspirin? Do you remember what happened to Dad? He was carrying an aspirin in his jaw and he's just a mouse, remember? And so it was so much medicine that like poisoned him and he died. Oh no, let's see what happens. But Ralph, quavered Aunt Sissy, remember your father? You can't carry an aspirin in your cheek pouches. It would poison you. How could you get one here? I'll find a way, Ralph said outwardly, steadfast in his determination. But inside he wondered how he would manage to get an aspirin into room 215 if he did find one. Roll it, perhaps? Ralph, stay here, pleaded his mother. You're too young. Let Uncle Lester go. Well, now let's talk this over, said Uncle Lester. I am not too young, and I haven't a moment to lose. Ralph, who was really frightened by what he was about to do, also enjoyed the drama of the moment. Goodbye. I shall return before dawn. Ralph, promise me you'll be careful, pleaded his mother. Promise me you won't climb into suitcases like your Aunt Adrian. Ralph's Aunt Adrian, who liked nice things, had climbed into a suitcase to examine a nylon stocking. Someone had closed the suitcase, and Aunt Adrian had never been seen again. Oh no, and so now we know another story about another family member. Remember, she's just a mouse, so the suitcase was open, and she's like, ooh, what's in there? And she climbs in, and somebody came along and didn't see her, shut the suitcase, and they never saw her again. Mom's like, please don't climb into a suitcase. It was hoped she had been carried away to a life of luxury. Promise me, Ralph, cried his mother, but her son was already on his way out of the knothole. Ralph scurried across the carpet of room 215, flattened himself, and squeezed under the door. Once out in the hallway, his courage ebbed. The aspirin tablet seemed a very small thing to find in such a vast place. So he's like, the aspirin is small, the hotel is big. It would be much easier to find the motorcycle. No, thought Ralph. I mustn't even think about the motorcycle. Ralph began to feel pretty small himself, much smaller than he had felt during his show of bravery back in the mouse nest. Down in the lobby, a clock struck 1. There was not a moment to lose. He ran to the next room, squeezed under the door, and searched under the beds and the dresser while the 2 guests slept soundly. All he found was a bobby pin. He skipped room 211 because his enemy, the little terrier, was still there. Remember the dog? The dog is in room 211. And ran on to room 209. A hurried search, frightening because of the loud and uneven snores that came from one of the beds, revealed nothing but a few pretzel crumbs, which Ralph did not even have time to eat. On and on ran Ralph, down the hall, under doors, around under beds and dressers. There was not a single aspirin tablet to be found. In one of the rooms he did see a penny that had rolled under a luggage rack, and he remembered his mother's wish to leave a tip for room service. But tonight he had no time for pennies. He must press on and find an aspirin. So what's Ralph looking for? He's looking for an aspirin, and he's like, "Ah, there's a penny. Mom could use a penny. We could give a tip to room service, but nope, I've got to go find an aspirin." He's wanting to help Keith get better. He's a good friend, so he's running into all the rooms. Let's see what happens. A small doubt began to creep into Ralph's thoughts as he ran down the hall to the last room on the 2nd floor. Maybe there was an aspirin. Maybe there was no aspirin. Maybe he was risking his life and the lives of his family for nothing. Remember, he's risking his lives because if they see him, what are the housekeepers going to want to do? Are they going to want to make a friend out of him? Or are they going to want to kill him? If you say kill him, you're right, because he's a mouse. Ralph pushed the thought aside. He would not let himself be discouraged. If there was no aspirin on the 2nd floor, there had to be one someplace on the ground floor. Tonight he was willing to brave the stairs to find it. He flattened himself and squeezed under the last door on the 2nd floor. There was nothing under either of the beds but the things Keith called dust mice. They're not really mice, right? They're just dirt. There was no sound but the rattle of the windows in the wind. Ralph started across the carpet toward the dresser when suddenly a light from the bedside table blinded him. He stopped, rooted to the carpet by fear, even though it was not likely that anyone was going to cut off his tail with a carving knife. He heard someone slip out of bed and utter a sound halfway between a squeal and a scream. Before Ralph knew what was happening, an ordinary drinking glass had been clapped down over him, and there he stood, in a glass trap. By then, his eyes were adjusted to the light, and he found himself facing a pair of bare feet. Looking up, he saw that the feet belonged to a young woman in a pink nightgown. "Mary Lou, wake up," she whispered to the woman in the other bed. "Look what I've caught." Oh no, friends, look. Ralph is caught in the glass. Oh, so at least I will say they didn't kill him, but he's caught in the glass, and whoever has him is saying to the person in the room, "Hey, Mary Lou, wake up! Look at what I got!" It's a mouse. It's Ralph. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? He's caught in the glass. Oh no! Do you think he'll get out safely? If you caught a mouse and it was alive, where would you put it? Would you put it on the ground floor, or would you put it outside? We'll have to wait and see what happens to Ralph on Monday. Have a great weekend, friends.